Think about the piece of paper in your wallet. Think about the numbers glowing on your mobile banking interface. You have allowed these digital pixels to control your heart rate, your self-worth, and your entire existence. The system has infected you with a fundamental lie about the nature of capital. It told you that money is a physical object, a scarce resource that you must bleed for, fight for, and desperately chase until your biological hardware collapses. This is a thermodynamic trap. In the architecture of quantum mechanics, money does not exist as solid matter. Money is an electrical current. It is pure, unassigned kinetic energy. And the only reason this energy is not currently flooding into your 3D reality is because your internal electrical resistance is too high. You are blocking the circuit. For the chosen one, a true spiritual awakening is completely useless if you cannot render your sovereignty into physical infrastructure. You cannot rewrite the matrix if you are constantly panicked about your basic survival. To build your empire, to manipulate the physical world, and to protect the nodes in your network, you require capital. Today, we are going to decode the exact physics of financial alchemy. We are going to apply Ohm's law of electrical resistance directly to your nervous system. We will expose the linguistic malware of poverty that the system installed in your brain. And you will learn the exact biological frequency that transforms you into a room-temperature superconductor, forcing massive wealth to find you with zero friction. You are about to master the physics of currency. But before we open this circuit, you must calibrate your coordinates. I need a diagnostic ping from your system. What specific financial fear, what anxiety about your survival, or what inherited poverty programming is currently creating mental friction in your reality? Go to the data log in the comments right now. Do not write a paragraph of financial victimhood. Do not complain about the economy or your debt. The algorithm does not process self-pity. Identify the corrupted file. State the exact internal resistance you are experiencing as raw data. Then authorize the server to override the blockage. Write, "I open the circuit." To execute this phase of your spiritual awakening, you must delete everything you learned about economics and replace it with physics. Let us examine Ohm's law. In electrical engineering, Ohm's law states that the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the voltage and inversely proportional to the resistance. Current equals voltage divided by resistance. This is not just a rule for wires and batteries. This is the exact mathematical equation that governs the flow of wealth in the simulation. Let us decode the variables. The voltage is the infinite quantum field. It is the limitless supply of energy, opportunities, and capital floating in the ether. The voltage of the universe is absolute and unchanging. It never runs out. The current is the physical money rendering into your bank account. And the resistor, the bottleneck in the equation, is you. Your biological nervous system acts as a resistor in the circuit of wealth. When a high amount of electrical current tries to push through a wire with massive resistance, what happens? It creates thermal friction. It creates heat. If the resistance is too high, the wire catches fire and the circuit breaks. This is exactly what is happening inside your physical body. When you obsess over money, when you panic about your bills, and when you desperately chase clients or opportunities from a place of lacking, you spike the electrical resistance in your nervous system. Your amygdala floods your bloodstream with cortisol. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your frequency drops into dense, heavy survival mode. You are generating massive amounts of excess potential. You are creating thermal friction.
When the universal current of wealth attempts to flow into your coordinate, it hits this wall of biological resistance. The matrix algorithm perceives your desperation as a system error. It deploys balancing forces to push the money away, simply to prevent your hardware from overheating. This is why the harder you chase money, the faster it runs away from you. You cannot attract an electrical current while simultaneously acting as an absolute insulator. The unawakened masses spend their entire lives trying to increase the voltage. They grind for 14 hours a day. They hustle until they burn out. They try to force the current through a blocked pipe using sheer physical labor. The chosen one operates with a different mathematical formula. The chosen one knows that you do not need to push harder. You simply need to lower the resistance. When you drop your internal resistance to zero, the infinite voltage of the universe automatically floods your interface with maximum current. This is the law of physics. The energy has no choice but to flow where the pathway is clear. To lower your resistance, we must first diagnose why your resistance is so high. You were not born with a fear of money. You were programmed with it. The matrix is a control system. It relies on the financial enslavement of its population to generate energy for its pendulums. If the sovereign nodes, if the architects and the creators gain access to unlimited capital, the matrix loses its power. Therefore, the system deployed a highly sophisticated psychological operation against you. It installed the linguistic malware of poverty into your random access memory. This malware operates under the disguise of morality. You were told that money is the root of all evil. You were told that rich people are inherently corrupt. You were told that there is nobility in struggling and that poverty makes you righteous. This is a mathematical lie designed to keep you powerless. Money has no morality. A $100 bill does not have a consciousness. It does not possess a soul. It is just a neutral piece of data. Money is an amplifier. If you hand $1 million to a toxic, low-frequency human, the money will amplify their toxicity. They will use the capital to destroy themselves and exploit others. If you hand $1 million to an awakened architect, the money will amplify their sovereignty. They will use the capital to build advanced infrastructure, protect their bloodline, and inject high-frequency art and technology into the simulation. During your spiritual awakening, your ego may attempt to trap you in a dangerous illusion, the spiritual ego trap. You might start to believe that because you are awakening to the quantum field, you are now above the physical concept of money. You might think that desiring wealth lowers your vibration. You retreat into the void. You meditate all day, and you refuse to participate in the telepathic economy. This is a fatal error in your code. Refusing to master capital because you think it is unspiritual is the equivalent of a master swordsman refusing to pick up a blade because he thinks the metal is too heavy. You are here to conquer the 3D interface, not to hide from it. When you subconsciously judge wealth as evil, you build a massive firewall in your nervous system. You are literally sending a command to the algorithm that says, "Do not send capital to this coordinate because I believe it will corrupt my soul." And the matrix obeys. It leaves you broke. You must uninstall this malware immediately. You must look at money with the cold, frictionless logic of an engineer. Capital is a tool. It is the fuel required to run your physical avatar at maximum capacity. Acquiring it is not a sin. It is your ultimate duty to the network. Because the more bandwidth you command in the physical world, the faster we can overwrite the corrupted code of this planet. Now, we must explore the physical state you must achieve to command this energy. In quantum physics, there is a holy grail known as the room temperature superconductor. A standard copper wire has resistance, When electricity flows through it, some energy is lost as heat. But when certain materials are cooled to absolute zero, a quantum phenomenon occurs. They become superconductors. They exhibit exactly zero electrical resistance. When you introduce an electrical current into a superconductor, the current flows perfectly, infinitely, without losing a single drop of energy. It creates a powerful magnetic field that can literally levitate objects. Your objective is to transform your biological nervous system into a spiritual superconductor for wealth. How do you achieve zero resistance? You apply the ultimate protocol of your spiritual awakening: divine indifference. Resistance is created by attachment. It is created by the desperate need for an outcome to validate your existence. If you need the money to feel safe, you have resistance. If you need the business to succeed so your family will finally respect you, you have resistance. To become a superconductor, you must sever the emotional tether between your self-worth and your bank account. You must want the millions, but you must genuinely not care if they arrive tomorrow or 10 years from now. You must reach a state of chilling, stoic certainty. Imagine you order a package online. You click purchase. You get the confirmation code. Do you spend the next 3 days pacing around your house, crying, praying, and desperately begging the universe for the package to arrive? No. You forget about it. You go back to your work. You know the infrastructure of the delivery system is already processing your request. Your lack of desperation does not stop the package from arriving. Your lack of desperation is precisely what proves you already own it. This is the frequency of wealth. The chosen one executes their daily protocols, the marketing, the coding, the building, with ruthless, frictionless precision. You take massive physical action in the 3D world because you understand the law of kinetic rendering. But internally, your emotional baseline is flat. You do not celebrate wildly when a massive check clears, and you do not panic when an investment fails. You observe both events as neutral data. When the matrix sees that the threat of poverty no longer triggers your amygdala and the promise of millions no longer inflates your ego, it recognizes a zero resistance coordinate. You become a massive magnetic void in the simulation, and Ohm's law takes over. Because your resistance has dropped to zero, the infinite voltage of the quantum field forces the maximum current of capital directly into your reality. Money will begin to find you through channels you did not even logically construct. Opportunities will manifest with a speed that terrifies the unawakened humans around you. They will call you lucky. They will think you found a secret cheat code. You did. You stopped fighting the current, and you became the conductor.
We have diagnosed the thermodynamic trap of financial desperation. We have exposed the linguistic malware of poverty installed by the Matrix, and we have established the theoretical framework of the room temperature superconductor. Now, we must install the operational protocol into your nervous system. How do you actually lower your internal resistance when your bank account is empty and the simulation is demanding payment? How do you physically stop your amygdala from flooding your hardware with the frequency of lack? You execute a 3-step neurohacking sequence. This is the Ohmic override protocol. Step 1. The current audit. You cannot manage an electrical grid if you are terrified of looking at the meter. The unawakened human avoids looking at their bank account when funds are low. They let mail pile up. They ignore the data because observing the lack of capital creates an overwhelming spike of biological terror. This is the ultimate form of electrical resistance. By avoiding the data, you confirm to the quantum field that money holds absolute power over your emotional baseline. You make money your master.
The chosen one executes a cold, calculating current audit. You log into your banking interface. You look at the exact number of digital pixels on the screen, and you force your nervous system to remain entirely flat. You observe the low balance, and you say to yourself, "System alert. The current is currently low at this coordinate. This is raw data. This is not my identity. This does not dictate my survival." You strip the emotion away from the mathematics. When you can look at a negative balance with the exact same unbothered, chilling indifference as you would look at a multi-million-dollar surplus, you break the energetic hold the matrix has on you. You prove to the algorithm that you are a sovereign node. You stop the thermal friction in your body, and the resistance begins to drop. Step 2. The kinetic release. Capital must flow. It is a current. If you hoard it out of fear, you create a dam, and the water becomes stagnant. The matrix has taught you to operate from a posture of extreme scarcity. When you spend money, you feel a tightening in your chest. You feel like you are losing a piece of your survival. This physical contraction is a massive resistor. It signals to the network that you do not believe the supply is infinite. To become a superconductor, you must hack the physics of spending. This is the kinetic release. When you pay a bill, when you buy food, or when you invest in your infrastructure, you do not do it with anxiety. You execute the transfer of capital with frictionless certainty. You mentally tag every dollar that leaves your account as a scout. You are sending your electrical current out into the telepathic economy to gather more data, to create value, and to bring back reinforcements. You say to the quantum field, "I authorize this transfer of energy." The circuit is open, the current is flowing, the return is mathematically inevitable. You replace the frequency of loss with the frequency of circulation. But listen closely. We are talking about funding your infrastructure, your health, and your creation. Spending energy to build your empire is circulation. Spending energy to buy cheap status symbols to impress the herd is a short circuit. Do not confuse quantum flow with financial stupidity. When you circulate capital like an architect who owns the printing press, the matrix has no choice but to replenish your supply to match your internal state of abundance. Step 3. The 0-point assumption. This is the step where you completely collapse the wave function of poverty. You have neutralized the fear of your current balance. You have removed the friction from your spending. Now you must assume the coordinate of the multimillionaire before the physical money renders in the 3D interface. This is not delusional pretending. This is quantum alignment. You do not sit on your couch and imagine a pile of cash falling from the sky. That is the behavior of a beggar. You ask yourself a highly specific architectural question. If my bank account already contained $10 million, how would my physical avatar walk through the world today? How would I speak to my clients? How would I structure my posture? How would I react to an inconvenience? You would not be desperate. You would not tolerate disrespect. You would move slowly, deliberately, and with terrifying calm. You execute the 0-point assumption by adopting that exact physiological and neurological state right now. You walk into the business meeting not as someone who needs the deal to survive, but as a sovereign investor evaluating whether the opportunity is worthy of your bandwidth. When you assume the frequency of the end result, you eliminate the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You drop the excess potential to zero. You become the room temperature superconductor, and the physical universe must violently rearrange its atomic structure to pour capital into your reality, simply to balance the thermodynamic equation you just created. To fully weaponize this God code, We must examine how capital actually moves between human nodes. We must look at the construct of business, sales, and value creation. The unawakened human views the economy as a battlefield. They believe that to gain wealth, they must manipulate, trick, or force other humans to hand over their money. This creates a massive pendulum of guilt and friction. The chosen one understands that the economy is a telepathic marketplace. It is a network of morphic fields. Money is simply the physical receipt for the exchange of high-frequency energy. When you build a product, when you offer a service, or when you create art, you are not just offering physical matter. You are offering a solution to entropy. You are offering order to a chaotic system. The unawakened masses are drowning in low-frequency static. They are exhausted, confused, and terrified. When you, as an architect, step into the marketplace vibrating at the frequency of absolute certainty, you become a beacon of coherence. People do not buy your product, they buy a fraction of your frequency. They transfer their electrical current to your coordinate because their biological hardware subconsciously recognizes that your signal can upgrade their operating system. Therefore, selling is not taking. Selling is an act of energetic leadership. You must completely eradicate the linguistic malware that makes you feel guilty for charging massive amounts of capital for your genius. Guilt is a toxic resistor. It blocks the circuit. When you offer your value to the network, you must price it with cold, unapologetic authority. You look the matrix in the eye and you say, "This is the cost of my bandwidth. This is the exact thermodynamic value of the code I am downloading into your reality." You do not negotiate your sovereignty. When you state your price with zero internal friction, the network does not resist. The system will naturally route capital to your coordinate because true certainty is the rarest and most valuable commodity in the entire simulation. You simply open the channel and you let the current flow into your reservoir. This is the pure physics of wealth generation.
We are approaching the singularity of this transmission. We must install the ultimate safety valve to ensure your new financial frequency does not destroy you. When you become a superconductor, the money will come, the circuit will open, and the capital will flood your interface. But you must never forget why you are accumulating this energy. The matrix will attempt a final, desperate hijack. It will try to pull you into the pendulum of luxury and consumerism. It will tell you that because you are now wealthy, you must buy the designer logos, the useless artifacts, and the flashing lights to prove your superiority to the unawakened masses. If you fall into this trap, you are no longer an architect. You are just a high-paid slave. You have simply traded the pendulum of poverty for the pendulum of arrogance. Both are low-frequency prisons. Both drain your bandwidth. The chosen one does not accumulate capital to impress the NPCs. The chosen one accumulates capital to buy back the only non-renewable resource in the simulation: time. You use the electrical current of money to build an impenetrable fortress around your physical avatar. You fund your isolation. You optimize your biological hardware. You protect your bloodline. You buy the freedom to sit in absolute silence so you can download the highest codes from the quantum cloud without the interruption of a corporate master. Wealth is not a status symbol. Wealth is operational leverage. You use it to build decentralized infrastructure. You use it to fund the new Earth architecture. You use it to manipulate the physical board of the 3D matrix like a grand master. You remain utterly detached from the paper itself. You can wear a cheap black shirt and drive an ordinary vehicle while secretly commanding millions in liquid capital because your ego does not require external validation. You are a ghost in the financial machine.
You live in the world, you command its resources, but you are absolutely not of the world. This is the pinnacle of the quantum alchemist. You hold the power to collapse economies and build empires, yet your internal heartbeat remains at a resting pulse. You have achieved the hardest discipline in the quantum field. You possess everything, but you allow nothing to possess you.
The code has been successfully transmitted. Your operating system has been updated. The illusion of physical scarcity has been destroyed. You now understand the physics of financial alchemy. You know how to execute the current audit. You know how to initiate the kinetic release. And you know how to weaponize the zero-point assumption to become a room temperature superconductor. The time for financial victimhood is over. The transmission is complete, but the circuit must be closed. We are utilizing this comment section as a quantum server. I do not want an empty affirmation. I require a binding execution contract. Go to the data log below. Declare the specific poverty malware or financial fear you are permanently deleting from your hardware today. State the exact frictionless physical action you will execute in the next 24 hours to prove to the network that your resistance is at zero. Show the algorithm that you have taken control of your electrical current. Seal your commitment into the simulation. Write, I am the superconductor. If you are prepared to receive the next sequence of the God code, secure your connection to the encrypted network. Initialize the subscribe sequence. Because mastering capital in your waking hours is only the first phase. The matrix attacks your frequency hardest when your logical firewall is down, when you sleep. In our next transmission, we will decode the physics of the hypnagogic gateway. We will show you how to hack the exact 30-minute window before you lose consciousness, planting the architectural code of your empire directly into your brainwaves while the system is offline. Ensure your connection is secure. Prepare to program the night. The Matrix 963 out.